Okay, here we are in our next instructional video that you're going to need to learn the skills to engage in lesson 6, and that is why make graphs. Why make graphs indeed. We could have talked about some of this with the last video, and you've seen this slide before, but we've added a certain element highlighting the important parts. Make your content. Why do you want to put things into a graphical format? Make your comment easy to understand. Excuse me. Convert it into a format that will support your argument you're trying to make, whether it's history, science, English, whatever. Support your argument, and also make your presentation more engaging. You want people to pay attention to what you have to say. You want to gather their attention. You want them to like it. You want to engage them. You want to make them say, wow, when they see what you have to say. Not just hear, or read, but see what you have to say. So again, you say it and you show it. So let's go back to some of the spreadsheets we made when we were learning about using Google Spreadsheet, and we'll begin making a graph. So again, this is what we constructed with our last lesson together. And the way you start making your graph, you got to select all of this information by clicking and dragging diagonally and highlighting all of it. You see how it's now all highlighted. And there's a tool up here. It says Insert Chart. Now that's what they're calling in here the graphs, is the charts. So we click on that. And this is the data that we told it to select. And you'll notice that we want to make a line graph because we want to show change over time of Italian immigration to those three cities, Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh. So we simply select line chart, and there we have it. But you notice it is indeed graphing the Italian immigration to Chicago, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, but it's also graphing the year. We don't need it to graph the year. We need it to use column A that it's trying to graph as the year as headers, labels, so we simply go over here, use column A as labels, and watch what happens. There you go. Now you start to have some information. But you notice there's three essential things missing. It just says chart title, and it doesn't have any label for the vertical axis or the horizontal axis, and you need to inform people that. You need to assume that they don't know what you're talking about. So you need to help them. So to make those changes, you'll come over here to the Customize tab. And chart title, we're simply going to say Italian immigration 1890, 1930, Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh. So we say insert, and that's what it looks like. But we also need to do something with the vertical and the horizontal axis. Now once you've created your chart, how do you either delete it or get back to edit it? Well, you mouse up over the upper right hand corner and click, and you'll see you'll get these two little things. One over here and an area over here. This will put it into view mode, and I'll show you view mode later. This will put you into the quick edit mode, but you want over here the advanced edit mode. So we go back in there, go to Customize, and we're going to work our way down through this menu here, and we've already changed the name. The legend, as in the legend, I kind of like it where it is. You can put that, you have different choices of where you can place it, right, left, and such like that, but we're going to leave it right there for now. We like the background the way it is, the features, you can play with those later if you want. Now we get down to axis. Now this axis tool allows you to switch between the horizontal and the left vertical. So again, we're going to go to horizontal, and we're going to give that a title, horizontal axis. This is the years of U.S. Census. And the reason we put that down is those are the years of the U.S. Census, and we did get this data from the U.S. Census, and this is kind of a way of informing people that we did get the data from the U.S. Census. Now you notice here you could set the minimum and the maximum. I'll show you what that looks like. If we were to set the minimum at 70,000 and we updated it, we lose a lot of our data because it's now kind of whacked out. And also, another reason we don't want to mess with that is because, remember that some of the data that we got is at 0. So when we go to do that to the left vertical, we'll show you that as well. It's just a little bit of experimenting, learning how the tools work. So we'll change the axis to left vertical, and we'll change this to 70,000. And you'll see what happens to the red line, all the lines. A lot of the data is now missing, so that doesn't do what we want it to. So you have to pay attention to your lowest data point when you're setting these ranges. So we will now go and fix all of these. So we're going to say horizontal, we have our title, and I like to do this. I like to make those things bold. I like to have them slanted at about a 30-degree angle. I think that makes it look kind of nice. And I do not want the title italicized. I want it bolded. This is just my taste. So then I go to the left vertical axis. I take out the minimum. I do not want a minimum like that. I'm going to say, what is the title there? Well, the title of that is going to be number of immigrants. Number of immigrants. And I don't want that italicized. I want it bolded. Now here, if you wanted, say for instance Chicago, you decided I don't want Chicago to be blue. I want it to be pink. You could change it and Chicago would be pink. So you can change the colors. I'll leave it at blue because blue's my favorite color. So I kind of like that. I have the title up here. I have the title of the vertical axis, the horizontal axis. I have the labels down here on the horizontal axis kind of attractively slanting in to draw people's attention into the data. So I'm kind of pleased with that, so I'm going to say update. And there you go. And if you want, you can move this graph over here. Now right now we're still kind of in the edit mode, so you don't see much, but watch what happens when we put it into view mode. Well, this is going to be much more important to you when we do the bar graph. Oh, there we go. See, we can mouse over it and it says Detroit 1920, 17,805. Pittsburgh 1910, 26,914. Chicago 1910, 49,417. So that's when you put it into view mode. Now, of course, you have to be showing this to people within the Google Spreadsheet tool, but still the fact that you can simply make it interactive by mousing over it, it would allow somebody to get the support that is not really able to read over to the vertical axis. So that is graph 1, the line graph showing the change in Italian immigration over time. And if you were assigned a project to actually speak about what this shows, this tool would help you truly analyze that data. But what we're going to do right now is go and make the column graph, otherwise known as bar graph. So once again, the first thing we do is select all the data, and we go to the Make a Graph tool, and we have the bar chart, but we want the column chart, so we click column chart. Now you notice that once again it's trying to graph the year. We don't want that. We want labels to show up. So we do that. So now we have it. We have the vertical axis with the years. We have the horizontal axis, or the numbers rather. We have the horizontal axis with the years. So now we're going to go and customize it. And we would give it the chart title. And in fact, why don't we start off with immigrant population in Chicago, 1870, 1920, Now we can say which immigrant populations. Chicago, I'm sorry, Italian, Irish, Polish. So we like that. We want it just bolded. If we really want to get people's attention, we give it a nice bright color. Don't need to. We like the legend, the key where it is. Axis, horizontal. What is a horizontal axis? Again, showing us years of U.S. Census. We don't want it to be italicized, but we do want it to be bolded. We want the axis labels to be bolded, not italicized, and we do want them to be slanted. I'm not sure if 60 degrees, I kind of like 30 degrees better, but that's again personal choice. You can change the colors of them too. For instance, if I wanted the axis labels to be orange, I could do orange, but I'm going to leave them black. So then I'm going to do the vertical axis also, and this again is number of immigrants, and we want it bolded. And since in 1870 and 1880 we have some of the groups that didn't have any population, we do have to leave it at 0, otherwise your graph would be skewed. But you notice that this is now in that view mode, so if we mouse over it, we see automatically what the number is without having to read the graph. It's an interactive feature. So you could quickly see Irish in 1870, 1890, 1900, 1910, 1920. And once again, you could use this tool in your graph. You could set it up like this so that you can see both the data table and the graph. And if you click on it, you can put it into view mode. And again, you're getting those numbers that pop up as you mouse over it. And you've made yourself a tool that can get people's attention. So I hope this helps you in seeing how to make the graphs off of the data tables you learned to construct with the last video, which you need to pay attention to that because you're going to need these skills. So thank you very much. Goodbye.